So how much of the staff temping industry is gone online? I mean, I asked you yesterday and I didn't give you a chance to reply. It was a bit crazy.
Well, I mean, we started the company like I think 9 years ago, and the big hypothesis was it's a massive market. It's like 30 billion Germany alone is temporary staffing, and this market is highly fragmented, super offline, and with a tech solution we can change it. And this market is going to be hit heavily by demographic change. So that was 9 years ago, and up to today, we're still that much convinced, if not even more convinced.
Still 30 billion or more?
Unchanged. The market is growing, the need for staff is growing, and the backlog in terms of technology in that market is still massive.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had Deal on stage earlier today, 500 million in 5 years, revenues, not such a bad run. So they take care of other jobs, right? They are more on the programming side and global. For you, it's like local staffing and it's blue-collar jobs.
It's blue-collar jobs.
Exist.
Yes, I think it's important to understand. Like, if you look at the market, if you look at HR, it's huge. Within HR, there's staffing, which is deep into the value chain. So we literally send people to get a job done, and with us, companies can do this way faster, way more efficient than with the incumbent temp staffing player, not to talk about trying to organize it by themselves. And within that space, we focus on 4 areas, namely retail, logistics, hospitality, and obviously also sort of front office and call center jobs.
And airports would be where?
Airports are within logistics. Airports are also great. I mean, we love working in the big football stadiums, the rock concerts, but also airports are super interesting given that it's hard to find staff. It's difficult, to be there at 5 in the morning.
Right.
Those are the kind of jobs.
And I prepared some questions, but I can ask you so many questions. I find this so interesting because they're providing value to the company, and what I didn't realize until we met a few years in Zurich ago, you also help the people, the ones who are actually having a less flamboyant life than Wall Street bankers. They are basically going from job to job, and it's almost like a marketplace. You help them to, I wouldn't say do deep meaning in life, but at least make good money on the jobs and don't get screwed, right?
Absolutely, and it is a marketplace that also there the world of work is like facing one big challenge, which is the drive towards flexibility. And there's 2 ways of flexibility. One is the one we know and hear about is the Gen Z. People want to be more flexible, people want to work from home, people don't want to go to the same job every day. That's the one part. The other part is on the business side. The pressure just is increasing, and if you run a warehouse, if you run a supermarket, if you run a store, you have to make sure you're in good control of your costs. And staff is a big control, and it gets harder and harder to forecast and to understand where you need stuff, when you need the stuff. That means on the curve of demand, you're either overpaying because you have stuff that you don't need, or you're underpaying, you have demand that you can't serve. And with a solution like Zenjob, you can actually hug that curve and on a day-to-day basis get the stuff in time. And same is on the other side, right? More and more people in Europe and in Germany need a side job. More and more people need a second, if not a third income. And we can provide that income. And we help a lot of people. Last year, we had close to 50,000 people who earned additional income thanks to Zenjob. And obviously, that's also, it's a great motivation to get up in the morning and to build a company.
And if you look at the users, the workers on your platform, is your wallet share or the salaries they get through Zenjob for the cohorts rising? Are you?
So what we look at,
absolutely.
I mean, what we look at is the shifts per talent, right? How much is someone working with us? And ultimately,
by
that
hours
depends.
Or days, maybe 2 days out of the week they work.
Precisely. And usually, what we look at is, for example, a big chunk of the workers on our platform are students. There are 3 million in Germany alone. How many of those? It's roughly 70% need to work, to finance their studies. And then, out of those, how many are actually working on Zenjob? And out of those, how much are we actually providing? And
how many of those are going to stay with us for the next 10 years and the studies was for nothing?
Exactly.
But taxi driving is not
No. And I mean, we mainly work with, I mentioned those 4 industries, and within those 4 industries, we prefer to work with the big corporate players that we can, cover a nationwide agreement, we can supply them. And ultimately, though, we can also help companies grow their own talent pool. Imagine you need, I don't know, you're a big supermarket chain, you have a trainee program, and you're looking for students. It's very hard these days to find students to join your company. Yeah. Well, the best access is you use Zenjob. You have 100, 200, 500 people from Zenjob working in your stores, and then you pick the best ones and hire them.
Okay, it sounds all very easy. Has it been that easy? I think there's a peer in Switzerland, Kuppel, and we had the shareholder David from One Peak on stage earlier. They're also quite sizable, right? Was it right mover advantage? Was it hard work? Was it the market opening up after COVID? Or does it sound easier than it is?
It is a very tough market. I've been working in marketplaces before, and it turns out it's a big difference whether you match supply and demand for a restaurant to sell pizza, or whether it's about jobs and people. On top, it's highly regulated. On top, you need to take care of taxes, of social contributions, and many other topics. And I'm sure you're familiar with this, innovators' dilemma, exactly. And also, with the topics around disruption, like Clayton Christensen. And the big topic is that you have those big players on the markets, the big temp staffing agencies, who had very difficult times, as we all did in the last couple of years, and who are going after the big chunks, while we are on the very bottom having the small bites. And luckily,
of the same client.
Of the same clients as well.
Which brings the synergies and
precisely
leads us to the last
precisely.
question.
And luckily, though, we are focused on building the technology. As a side result, we're also seeing revenues, and we're seeing revenues growing, which is fantastic, but our main attention always goes into building the technology, investing and growing the technology. And with that technology, we are actually, slowly but surely getting up and growing the market. And it is way more difficult than we thought 9 years ago. It's also, though, we can see how much it's paying out, that we kept focusing on the technology, constantly building that, and now seeing a great business scaling, growing profitable, and we've got exciting times ahead.
You raised 100 already, 50 to 150, but I'm sure some of these big corporates will try to do something more with you, right? I mean, isn't that an M&A typical case, especially since you have the same clients and you have more modern systems? Or do we have this incumbent ignorance that, they're not going to buy you until they really have to, I guess?
Well, I mean,
You're open for private equity or venture capital?
We are always very open. I mean, we're luckily we are active in Germany. We're luckily growing into break even now. We have fantastic investors on board. Going forward, we've got huge ambitions. I mean, the problem we're solving is not a problem only in Germany. It's not only a problem in Europe. It's a global problem. The problem is growing. The demand for flexibility is there. The demographic change is hitting in. And on top, people need to grow their incomes. People need more jobs. And therefore, we're super keen on growing, on expanding with all possible ways. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Fritz.
Thanks,
Great
Marco.
to see you again.